This just shattered national security. A decorated U.S. naval officer was caught hiding stolen secrets inside his own child's toys.
If you believe betrayal always comes from the outside, think again. Because sometimes the most dangerous enemy doesn't cross borders. He wore the uniform. He swore the oath. He stood watch over national secrets. And when he went home, he hid those secrets inside his child's toys. If you believe power, loyalty, and trust always protect a nation, stay with this story to the end. And if you value investigative documentaries that expose corruption, hidden threats, and national security failures from within, follow this channel now. At 5:12 a.m., in a quiet suburban neighborhood near a U.S. naval installation, federal agents moved in. No sirens, no warnings, no room for mistakes. This wasn't a drug raid, it wasn't a violent standoff. This was a counterintelligence operation. The target was not an enemy combatant. He was a decorated naval officer. And the charge waiting behind that door was one word the military fears most: espionage. Chapter 1. The officer no one questioned. The officer at the center of this case had everything the military values: decorated service, years of classified assignments, access to secure naval systems, a reputation built on discipline and loyalty. Colleagues described him as meticulous, quiet, reliable. He attended briefings on classified operations, fleet movements, communications protocols, and sensitive intelligence assessments. Nothing about his record suggested risk, and that was exactly what made him dangerous. In modern espionage cases, the most valuable assets are not reckless traitors or ideological extremists. They are trusted professionals who blend perfectly into the system, unnoticed, unchallenged, unquestioned. This officer was one of them. For years, he lived an ordinary life. Married, children, commute to base, weekend routines, no extravagant spending, no visible red flags. Yet somewhere within that routine, something had shifted. And NCIS would eventually learn that while the officer wore a uniform by day, he was living a double life behind closed doors. Chapter 2. The First Whispers. The investigation did not begin with an arrest. It began with anomalies, subtle deviations that only seasoned analysts would recognize as dangerous signals. Encrypted communications appeared in data systems where they did not belong, quietly bypassing normal authorization pathways. Metadata logs showed irregular access patterns to classified repositories, inconsistent with duty hours or assigned responsibilities. Sensitive files were opened without operational necessity, often in combinations that raised immediate internal concern. At first, analysts assumed system error, but then patterns emerged, repeating with precision rather than randomness. Files accessed late at night, repeated downloads of naval intelligence unrelated to the officer's assignment or mission scope, cross-referencing of classified materials that, when combined, revealed operational vulnerabilities across multiple naval domains. This was not curiosity, this was collection. NCIS counterintelligence specialists quietly flagged the activity. They did not confront the officer, they did not alert command. Instead, they watched, allowing the digital trail to grow. In espionage cases, exposure too early can destroy evidence, and NCIS suspected something far larger than a single violation, a deliberate intelligence operation unfolding in silence. Chapter 3. The Long Surveillance. What followed was months of silent observation, conducted without the subject ever realizing he was under scrutiny. The officer's digital footprint was monitored with precision, tracing every access point and system interaction. Communications were logged, encrypted traffic dissected, and contact networks quietly mapped. Travel history was reviewed. No foreign trips, no unexplained deposits, no obvious handler. But then came the breakthrough. Buried inside what initially appeared to be routine system maintenance. During a routine audit, investigators noticed encrypted storage devices repeatedly connecting to a personal laptop registered to the officer's home internet address. That laptop was not authorized for classified material and should never have interacted with secure networks. The encryption was sophisticated, military-grade, non-commercial, and designed to evade standard forensic tools used in civilian investigations. This was not amateur behavior. This was tradecraft. NCIS now knew the threat was real, but they still did not know how the officer was removing classified data from secure facilities or where it was being stored. The answer would be more disturbing than anyone expected. Chapter 4. The Raid Order. By early 2025, NCIS leadership approved a full counterintelligence operation. A covert search was deemed impossible. The risk of evidence destruction was too high. The possibility of an external intelligence connection could not be ignored. A dawn raid was authorized, not on a base, not in an office, but at a family home, because that is where the data was believed to be hidden. And what investigators feared most was not what they would find, but where they would find it. Chapter 5. Entering the house. When agents entered the home, the officer was detained without resistance. His spouse was stunned. His children were escorted to another room. The house looked ordinary. Family photographs lined the walls. Children's artwork hung on the refrigerator. Toys were scattered across the living room. Nothing suggested espionage. But NCIS had learned long ago that intelligence operatives hide secrets in the most unremarkable places. Places no one would ever think to search. And so they began to dismantle the illusion. Chapter 6. The Discovery. The first discovery came inside a child's toy chest. What appeared to be a plastic action figure was heavier than expected. Inside, agents found a hollowed compartment, professionally altered, containing a micro-storage device sealed against moisture and heat. That device contained classified naval intelligence. As the search continued, more toys were examined. Stuffed animals, toy trucks, educational games, each one modified, each one containing concealed memory chips. Some were disguised so expertly that even experienced investigators initially missed them. By the end of the search, agents had recovered dozens of concealed storage units, all hidden inside children's toys. The implications were chilling. This officer had turned his own home and his children's possessions into a vault for stolen national secrets. Chapter 7. What the files contained. The data recovered was catastrophic in scope. Naval deployment schedules, communications encryption protocols, vulnerabilities in radar and tracking systems, assessments of allied naval capabilities, briefings on regional maritime operations. This was not defensive information. This was intelligence that could reshape military strategy or dismantle it. Analysts concluded that if the material reached a hostile power, it could compromise naval forces across multiple theaters. Lives were at risk, not hypothetically, immediately. Chapter 8. The question no one could answer. Why? That was the question haunting investigators. The officer denied financial motivation. No large payments were found. No offshore accounts. Ideology? There was no record of extremist beliefs. Coercion? No evidence of blackmail. What remained was the most dangerous motive of all: voluntary betrayal. Some intelligence professionals believe the officer sought validation, the thrill of outsmarting the system, of controlling information others could not access. Others believe he intended to sell the intelligence, but had not yet completed the transaction. Or worse, that he had already shared portions and erased the trail. NCIS could not be certain, and uncertainty is the enemy of security. Chapter 9. The Interrogation. During questioning, the officer remained composed. He acknowledged the data, he acknowledged the concealment, but he refused to identify any foreign contact. His silence was strategic. Without proof of transmission, prosecutors faced a complex challenge. Espionage cases require demonstrating intent, damage, and connection. But even without a foreign handler identified, the damage was undeniable. The presence of classified data outside secure facilities was itself a breach of the highest order, and hiding it inside children's toys crossed a moral line that horrified even seasoned agents. Chapter 10. The Military Shockwave. When news of the raid reached senior military leadership, shock turned into alarm. Internal audits were launched, access protocols were suspended, entire departments were reviewed. The case exposed a painful truth. Background checks do not prevent betrayal. Decorations do not guarantee loyalty. Time in service does not equal trust. The military had assumed its greatest threats came from cyber attacks, foreign espionage, or external infiltration. This case proved that the most dangerous threat can wear the uniform. Chapter 11, The Family Left Behind. Lost amid the national security crisis was the human cost, one that statistics and court filings could never fully capture. A family torn apart, children whose toys were no longer innocent objects, but silent witnesses to a crime they could never understand. A spouse forced to confront a life built on deception, questioning years of trust, memories, and shared sacrifice. NCIS agents described the raid as one of the most emotionally difficult of their careers. Not because of resistance, but because of the silence. There were no screams, no chaos, only disbelief that lingered long after the house was cleared. Espionage does not just steal secrets, it destroys lives. Chapter 12, Legal Fallout. The officer was charged under multiple statutes, including unauthorized retention of national defense information and violation of military secrecy laws, offenses carrying decades-long sentences. Prosecutors sought severe penalties, citing irreversible damage to national security and the calculated nature of the concealment. Defense attorneys argued lack of proven foreign transmission, attempting to frame the breach as incomplete rather than catastrophic. The trial would hinge not just on what was found, but on what could be proven beyond classified inference. And even as legal proceedings began, intelligence agencies continued damage assessments, rewriting protocols, altering communications, and adjusting deployments worldwide. Because once information is compromised, it can never be fully recovered. Chapter 13, Why this case terrified NCIS. This case shattered assumptions held across counterintelligence communities for decades. The officer did not smuggle documents out in briefcases. He did not photograph screens with hidden cameras. He did not use obvious methods that traditional security models were designed to catch. He adapted. He hid intelligence where no one would look. Inside innocence itself, exploiting trust, routine, and the protective instinct of family life. That is why this case became mandatory reading inside counterintelligence circles. It proved that espionage has evolved, and that trust remains its most exploitable weakness, the threat within. The raid on that quiet home did more than expose one traitor. It exposed a vulnerability that cannot be sealed with locks, codes, or cameras, because the greatest threat to national security is not always an enemy across the ocean. Sometimes it is a trusted insider who understands the system well enough to betray it silently. As this case fades from headlines, remember this: not every battlefield is visible, not every weapon fires bullets, and not every betrayal announces itself. If you want more investigative documentaries that uncover the hidden dangers inside powerful institutions, stories that governments would rather you forget, subscribe, follow, and stay with us, because the next raid may already be underway. Federal agents have launched Operation Catahoula Crunch in New Orleans, Louisiana, in a major crackdown on undocumented immigrants with alleged criminal records. Dozens have already been detained, and officials warn the operation could impact up to 5,000 individuals across Louisiana and Mississippi. Conducted by ICE and federal partners, this large-scale sweep underscores ongoing immigration enforcement efforts and has sparked significant community concern. Authorities continue to execute arrests and raids throughout the city, signaling a sustained federal push to target criminal activity among undocumented populations. Federal agents continue to execute raids throughout the city and surrounding areas, sending a clear message that federal agencies are committed to enforcing immigration laws and ensuring public safety. Each operation is carefully planned, with intelligence gathered over months, ensuring that the correct individuals are targeted while minimizing risks to the public and maintaining operational precision. Operation Catahoula Crunch is the culmination of months of strategic planning designed to identify and detain undocumented immigrants with serious criminal histories. The operation reflects a growing federal emphasis on targeting high-risk individuals, especially in regions where local enforcement agencies have limited reach or resources. Officials describe it as a methodical, highly coordinated initiative aimed at enhancing safety and stability across communities. Federal authorities emphasize that the operation specifically targets individuals with prior violent or serious offenses, including armed robbery, assault, drug trafficking, human smuggling, and organized crime. These individuals, officials say, represent a significant threat to neighborhoods and communities, and their removal is intended to enhance public safety while deterring future criminal activity. The operation is not intended to target recent migrants, refugees, or asylum seekers, but rather to remove those deemed a threat to the community. Families and individuals without criminal records are not part of the operation, yet the presence of federal agents has understandably caused concern among immigrant communities, with many residents unsure about the scope and reach of the raids. The name Catahoula Crunch is symbolic, inspired by Louisiana's state dog, the Catahoula leopard dog, known for its agility, alertness, and tenacity. The symbolism reflects the swift, targeted, and coordinated nature of the operation, emphasizing the federal intent to act decisively while highlighting the thorough planning behind each raid. On the first day of the operation, over 200 federal agents fanned out across New Orleans and surrounding parishes, executing raids at homes, workplaces, and public areas. Teams of agents often arrived early in the morning, taking advantage of tactical timings to minimize risk and maximize effectiveness. The scale of the operation meant that multiple neighborhoods were simultaneously targeted, requiring coordination with local law enforcement and logistical support for transportation and processing of detainees. Residents reported seeing agents detaining individuals in parking lots, outside stores, and in residential neighborhoods. Some individuals attempted to flee but were apprehended quickly, highlighting the precision and coordination of the operation. Witnesses described chaotic yet highly organized scenes, with agents systematically moving through targeted addresses, ensuring compliance with arrest protocols while maintaining order and security. Local businesses reported disruptions as employees avoided workplaces out of fear. Restaurants, retail stores, and service centers saw decreased customer traffic as communities remained cautious. Schools noted reduced attendance, particularly among Hispanic students, reflecting the broader impact of federal enforcement actions on everyday life. Many families chose to keep children home due to concerns about safety, while community organizations scrambled to provide reassurance and guidance. Operation Catahoula Crunch has brought immediate challenges for families. Many parents who were detained are primary breadwinners, leaving households in financial uncertainty. Children are left anxious and confused, unsure of their parents' whereabouts. Elderly relatives and dependent family members also face stress as they rely on younger family members for care and support. Community organizations have mobilized quickly, providing legal aid, temporary support, hotlines, and counseling services for affected families. These groups are assisting residents in navigating the legal process, ensuring detainees have access to legal representation, and offering guidance to families during this stressful period. One resident shared, "I don't know where my husband has been taken. The children are scared, and I'm not sure how we will manage this week," another business owner said. "Several of my employees didn't show up today. We're worried, and business is suffering because of the fear this operation has caused." These personal accounts highlight the human dimension of federal enforcement. Beyond statistics and arrests, families and communities are directly impacted by the operation's execution. Operation Catahoula Crunch also raises significant legal and political questions. Immigration attorneys are monitoring the operation closely to ensure detainees' rights are upheld, including access to legal counsel, proper documentation, and due process. Any deviation from protocol could result in legal challenges and increased scrutiny of federal enforcement practices. Local government officials have expressed concern over potential overreach, particularly in communities historically considered sanctuary areas. Politically, the operation underscores tensions between federal enforcement priorities and local immigration policies, highlighting the delicate balance between law enforcement and civil liberties. Community leaders have emphasized the importance of transparency, arguing that while public safety is essential, operations must not infringe on civil rights or target innocent residents. Governor Jeff Landry has publicly supported the operation, stressing the need to protect communities from individuals with criminal histories. State authorities coordinated with federal partners to ensure resources were available for processing detainees and maintaining order during the operation. Community organizations have responded quickly to support affected families. Legal aid groups are providing representation and guidance for those detained, Social services are assisting families with temporary shelter, food assistance, and financial support. Community leaders are offering hotlines, counseling, and outreach programs to guide residents through the challenges posed by the operation. Religious institutions, nonprofits, and volunteers have joined efforts to provide comfort, counseling, and guidance during this period of heightened uncertainty. This rapid mobilization demonstrates resilience and solidarity, ensuring affected families are not left without support. Experts note that community coordination has played a crucial role in reducing panic and providing information, mitigating some of the broader social impact of large-scale federal actions. The operation could ultimately affect up to 5,000 individuals, with federal authorities coordinating additional raids across Louisiana and Mississippi in the coming weeks. Key points to monitor include total arrests and deportations, community reactions, protests, legal challenges, economic impacts on local businesses, and national discussions on immigration policy, public safety, and civil rights. Experts suggest that Operation Catahoula Crunch may become a model for similar federal sweeps nationwide. But the true scope of the operation is becoming clearer only as agents push deeper into targeted communities. Federal task force officials now confirm that the operation spans 3 states, more than a dozen cities, and includes long-term surveillance operations that were quietly launched almost a year ago. According to internal briefings, the strategy used in Louisiana is already being reviewed by federal agencies in Texas, Arizona, and California for possible replication in future crackdowns. Behind the scenes, intelligence analysts are drawing attention to the operation's multi-layered structure. Unlike previous sweeps, Catahoula Crunch integrates real-time data analytics, cross-agency communications, and rapid response teams on standby for high-risk targets. Sources familiar with the planning describe it as one of the most synchronized immigration crime enforcement operations executed in the region in over a decade. Meanwhile, media coverage continues to intensify. National networks are broadcasting the story around the clock, focusing on the scale of arrests, the political implications, and the sharp rise in federal involvement across Louisiana. Local reporters, however, are documenting the emotional fallout. Families waiting outside detention centers, community leaders holding emergency meetings, and attorneys preparing for a surge in legal challenges. On TikTok, Instagram, and X, videos of late-night arrests, flashing lights, and convoys of unmarked vehicles have gone viral, giving Americans a raw, unfiltered view of the operation's impact. Public opinion remains sharply divided. Supporters argue that targeting high-risk offenders protects neighborhoods, reduces violent crime, and reinforces national security. Critics, however, point out that the raids have caused widespread fear, especially among families with mixed immigration status. Several civil rights groups have already issued statements calling for greater transparency, arguing that the operation risks sweeping up individuals with minimal criminal history or pending legal cases. Community organizers across New Orleans, Baton Rouge, and Lafayette are preparing for what they describe as the most intense period of uncertainty in years. Emergency hotlines have been set up, churches have opened their doors for temporary family support, and local nonprofits are coordinating food distribution and legal aid for those affected. At the same time, immigration courts are bracing for an overwhelming influx of cases, with judges expected to work extended hours as deportation proceedings accelerate. Operation Catahoula Crunch is shaping up to be a major turning point in federal enforcement strategy, one that blends aggressive targeting of criminal, undocumented individuals with sweeping actions that touch entire communities. The operation has already sparked debates in city councils, state legislatures, and even on Capitol Hill, where lawmakers are closely monitoring its outcomes and political impact. As federal teams continue their sweeps, New Orleans and surrounding regions are entering a period of heightened federal presence, with more checkpoints, joint patrols, and overnight operations expected in the coming days. Authorities suggest the operation is only in its mid-phase, meaning additional waves of arrests, property searches, and intelligence-driven raids could unfold at any moment. The long-term implications remain uncertain, but one thing is clear: Catahoula Crunch is no longer just an enforcement action. It has become a defining moment in the ongoing national debate over immigration, public safety, and civil liberties. Stay tuned for breaking updates, including new arrest totals, courtroom developments, and exclusive on-ground reports as Operation Catahoula Crunch moves into its next phase. As the operation grows, so does the political debate.